Welcome to Squatty Squats. This is a hill elevated squat with adduction. We're using a yoga block to help get a little bit of adductors on, to open the pelvic outlet a bit, and we are using a heels elevated position to help us orient our center of mass a little more posteriorly. A lot of fancy words, but don't worry, I'm going to break all this down for you. I actually find that unless you're using a suspension trainer, it is best to start this exercise with a little bit of weight. It is going to serve as a bit of a counterbalance and help you feel a little more secure. To get started, we're going to take our wedges and we're going to stand on the wedge. I'm just using one. You may need to use two, just depending on the stance at which you stand. We want to make sure that your feet are just slightly outside of your hips. They don't have to be super narrow, but we also don't want them super wide. Okay, so just kind of choose a narrower stance that feels okay to you. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our yoga block. We're going to put it right up in our stuff. So we're wanting to make sure we're getting those adductors kind of squeezing. And in the beginning, we don't need any glutes squeezing, okay? Glutes should be really nice and soft. Then we're going to take our kettlebell and we are going to hold it in a goblet position. When we hold the kettlebell in a goblet position, it's going to look like this right here. We want to make sure that our elbows are up off of our body. We don't want to hold it down here, and we're also not holding it here like this. So as best you can, keep the elbows up off the body. One of our main goals in doing the squat in this way is to get a squatty squat. A squatty squat means that we are coming down in an elevator and up in an elevator. We are not hinging. Our hips are not going back more than they are going down. They are going down more than they are going back. That is what a squatty squat is. We want to think about when we are doing this squat, we are in an elevator, okay? So we want to be able to go straight down and come straight back up. That does not mean that our back is totally flat and we are like this right here. That's not what I mean. I mean that I don't want you to dump forward as you're starting to come down, and then when you're coming up out of the bottom, I don't want your hips to come up first and then your upper body to follow. You're going to start with your kettlebell right here. You're going to be squeezing the yoga block. You're going to keep your heels heavy and your knees are going to start to come forward of your ankles. Your elbows are going to stay high. From here, we want to make sure that we don't tuck under, and we also don't want to just drop through the bottom of that mid-range of the squat, okay? So we're keeping that really nice kind of open pelvis position where we're not squeezing and tucking under. We're making sure that we've got an even speed down. Once you've reached the bottom of your squat, which should look like this with time, we're going to make sure that we squeeze to come back up, and we're not doing this, okay? And we're coming up evenly. So notice I don't come here and then up. What I'm doing is coming straight back up, and I'm squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. And then I want to make sure at the top I stand up out of my hips, not up out of my knees. Our goal with doing this squat is to allow the pelvis to expand a bit more posteriorly. And that adduction with the yoga block is really going to help with doing that. Don't worry if it feels kind of funky at first, it probably will. And know that you need to be able to use the weight as a counterbalance. If we try and do this without the weight, it's still possible, but I'm not gonna lie, it is a lot harder to do it this way because I don't quite have that counterbalance there. But if the weight just feels like a bit too much right now, then you can do it without weight. Just know that sometimes a little bit of weight can actually make things easier. And we're all lifting up babies right now. We have to get up and down off the ground with them. So it's not gonna hurt to use just a little bit of weight. All right, that is your heels elevated squat with adduction.